Okay, so welcome to the deep dive. You're here because you're probably, I mean, most of us are, trying to figure out how to actually, live a healthier life.
Right.
But it can feel really overwhelming. Like, where do you even start?
Totally.
But the good news is, and this is what we're diving into today, is that even small changes can make a big difference.
Absolutely. Small changes, consistency. That's the key.
So we've gone through all the articles and notes and research that you sent us, and well, we were really struck by how much the sources all focused on these fundamental habits, the basics. We're talking about hydration, sleep, movement, diet, really focusing on whole foods.
Right, whole foods.
And then stress management. I mean, these things, we hear about them all the time, but your research really highlighted how impactful they are, even when you're not doing a complete, total life overhaul.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to do today, is sort of extract the most practical, actionable steps, from all of the material you shared to make it easier to actually, integrate into your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So let's start with something super basic, but honestly, something I know I personally need reminders about all the time. Water.
Hydration. Yeah.
It's easy to forget about, but it came up so much in what you sent over.
Oh, it did. It was really interesting, actually. One of the articles you included pointed out that if you lose even just 1 to 2% of your body's water, you can start to feel noticeably tired.
Really? Just 1 to 2%.
Yeah, it's wild. And have trouble focusing. And we think about drinking water when we're thirsty, but your sources emphasized how many other things it affects, like digestion. It helps your body actually use the nutrients from your food. And your skin, keeping it, healthy and resilient. There was even a study you sent about how good hydration might even help with boosting your metabolism a little.
Interesting. I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
So what's the easiest, simplest change someone could make to improve their hydration?
Well, a lot of your sources mentioned how beneficial it is to start the day with a glass of water, kind of like jump starting your system.
Okay, yeah.
And keeping a water bottle with you, in sight, so you're more likely to sip on it throughout the day. It's kind of like a visual reminder. And then, a lot of people use phone reminders too.
Oh, that's a good idea. Especially if you get hyper-focused on work or something and forget to drink.
Exactly. It's easy to do. Okay, so moving on. You also sent over a ton of research on sleep.
Sleep.
Which, I think we can all relate to how important that is.
Yeah, but it's so hard.
It is hard. And your sources really highlighted how not getting enough sleep, it's not just about feeling tired. It can have some pretty serious effects on your health.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
One of the papers you shared, I think it was a medical journal or something, it talked about how chronic sleep deprivation actually weakens your immune system.
Yes. Exactly. You are much more likely to get sick.
Wow.
And there were several articles that talked about how sleep is crucial for your memory, how your brain actually stores information.
Makes sense. You need sleep to think clearly.
Yeah, totally. And then there was also a lot of discussion about how lack of sleep messes with your hormones, especially the ones that regulate your appetite, and that can lead to weight gain or other issues.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that when I'm sleep deprived, I crave all the worst foods.
Oh, absolutely. And the general consensus in what you shared was that most adults need somewhere between 7 to 9 hours of sleep.
7 to 9. Okay, that's a lot. So for people who are how is that even possible? What were some of the things your sources suggested?
A lot of them emphasized trying to stick to a consistent sleep schedule, even on weekends, if you can.
Yeah.
It helps regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle.
Okay, so consistency is key.
Yeah, and then, avoiding screens before bed, that blue light from phones and laptops, it messes with your melatonin production. Melatonin is a hormone that basically tells your body it's time to sleep.
Got it.
And then having a little bedtime routine, even if it's super simple, can make a big difference, like taking a warm bath or reading a book.
Or just dimming the lights and relaxing.
Exactly. Creating a calm environment.
Okay, so hydration, sleep.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about exercise. And I think it's important to say here that your sources weren't talking about crazy intense workouts.
No, not at all. In fact, several of the articles specifically said that even gentle movement can have a huge impact on your health.
Yeah. One of the articles you sent talked about how even if it's just light activity, if you do it consistently, it's amazing for your heart health.
Yes, absolutely. And it's not just physical either. A lot of the research you sent showed how important movement is for managing stress and improving your mood.
So it's like a mind-body thing.
Exactly. And one thing I thought was really interesting was that some of your sources said even short bursts of activity are beneficial. Like even just going for a 10-minute walk.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. A 10-minute walk can boost your energy levels and help you focus better. But the most important thing, and this came up again and again in what you shared, is to find activities you actually enjoy doing. Whether it's dancing or yoga or gardening or just walking.
Right. It needs to be sustainable.
Exactly. You're much more likely to stick with it if you actually like it.
Okay. And then for people like me who have jobs where we're sitting all day, your sources had some good tips on that too.
Oh, right. Like setting a timer to get up and stretch every hour.
Yes. And just generally being mindful of how much you're sitting and trying to break it up whenever you can.
Makes a huge difference. Okay. So moving on to what we eat. Food, yes. And your sources really emphasize the importance of whole foods, not, restrictive dieting, but really just prioritizing nutrient-rich foods.
Right. Adding in the good stuff. And they gave some great examples.
Yeah. They talked a lot about fruits and vegetables, of course, so many vitamins and minerals and fiber.
Right.
And nuts and seeds were in a lot of the sources too. Healthy fats, protein, essential nutrients, and lean proteins. Chicken, fish, beans, things like that. Important for building and repairing tissues.
So those are the building blocks, the foundation of a healthy diet.
Exactly. So, if you wanted to start incorporating more whole foods into your diet, where could you start?
Well, one thing I noticed in your sources was to just focus on adding one extra serving of vegetables to one meal per day.
Yes, such a good one. Small change, big impact.
And then, with snacks, swapping out processed things for a piece of fruit or some nuts can make a difference.
Absolutely. And one of the articles suggested, instead of drinking soda, try herbal tea.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, much lower in sugar.
Okay, so last but definitely not least, we need to talk about stress. Because this came up so much in the research you sent.
Oh, stress. It really affects everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like the underlying current that impacts all the other habits we've been talking about.
Absolutely. And your sources were very clear that chronic stress, it can really do a number on your health, like mess with your immune system, make it harder to sleep, affect your eating habits.
Yeah, if I'm stressed, I don't crave a salad.
Exactly. Chocolate, maybe.
More like pizza.
Right. And that's why, and all your sources emphasize this, managing stress, it's crucial, not just for your mental health, but for your physical health too.
So what are some of the go-to stress management techniques that came up in what you read?
A lot of the sources mention deep breathing. Even just taking a few minutes to really focus on your breath can help calm down your nervous system.
Okay, so deep breaths.
Yep. And mindfulness or meditation, even if it's just for a few minutes, can be really helpful.
Makes sense. And then I think it's also important to remember, and that some of your sources talked about this, to just take breaks.
Yes. Breaks are so important. Step away from your work. Get outside if you can.
Yeah, even just for a few minutes.
And spending time with people you love, doing activities you enjoy, that's all part of stress management too.
Absolutely. It's about taking care of yourself.
Exactly. So to recap what we talked about today and what really stood out in all the research you sent, these 5 fundamental habits: hydration, sleep, movement, eating whole foods, and stress management.
And I think the main takeaway here for you listening is that you don't have to do it all at once.
No way. Start with one thing, just one.
Yeah, and think about what resonates most with you from all the stuff you've been reading. What feels doable? What feels like maybe the most pressing thing to focus on right now?
Exactly. And what's one small step you could take today to move in that direction? That's your focus. One small step.
One small step that you can build on. You've already done the hard work, the deep dive into the research. Now it's time to put it into action.
Exactly. You got this.
And that's it for this deep dive.
See you next time.